Hello, it is 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning into VTV News. In the following, we'll take a look at the headlines for this bulletin. The 20th Future of Asia Conference opens in Tokyo. Vietnam remains an attractive investment destination for businesses. And later on, we'll take a look at how 1,000 voices are singing to affirm the nation's sovereignty. We'll now begin with the top news here in our bulletin. The annual conference on the future of Asia, organized by Nikkei Communications and Japan's Center for Economic Research, opened in Tokyo, Japan on Thursday. Now, chief among delegates' concerns at the conference was the rising tension in the EC and its knock-on effects to peace and stability in Asia.
The theme of this year's conference is Rising Asia, Messages for the Next 20 Years. At the conference, Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong stated his belief that the United States, China and Japan will continue to have a great influence on the development of the Asia-Pacific region. He also raised his concern over China's unlawful deployment of oil rig Hải Dương 981 in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam also mentioned the economic benefits of the EC.
It is situated on the world's leading trade route, which account for 1/4 of total freight, 1/3 of crude oil, and half of gas in the world. Nevertheless, we strongly protest against any infringement on our sovereignty. We are resolved to use necessary measures to protect our national sovereignty.
Many scholars have also expressed their concerns about the regional security in the face of China's recent actions and have urged the parties involved to settle the issue peacefully and amicably.
So war is not a solution. Like it or not, we have to find some peaceful means of solving conflicts between nations.
The potential of Trans-Pacific Partnership or TPP and the formation of the ASEAN Economic Community were also discussed at this year's conference.
Along the same news line now, Vietnam's Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam recently met Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to discuss bilateral cooperation. Now, Vietnam's Deputy Prime Minister thanked the Japanese and Singaporean government for supporting Vietnam in the face of China's illegal deployment of oil rig Hải Dương 981 in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. He also urged the international community to oppose any violations of international laws and threat to regional security. Japan and Singapore's prime ministers, on their part, also confirmed that international law should be observed and that conflict should be avoided at all costs in order to maintain security on the EC. They also praised Vietnam's radical measures in order to solve recent unrest in certain provinces. Japan and Singapore will encourage investors to expand their businesses in Vietnam, as Vietnam promises to maintain a stable investment environment. On to domestic news. Now, the National Assembly deputies on Friday discussed socio-economic issues, focusing on last year's implementation of the National Assembly's resolution. The deputies also worked on a budget plan for 2014. According to the deputies, the macroeconomy has shown signs of recovery with the increase in foreign direct investment effectiveness, foreign currency stock, and slowing inflation. However, they also pointed out weaknesses that have remained in the economy, including business bankruptcy, high inventories, budget overspending, and slow development in the agricultural sector. The National Assembly deputies said that the government should complete the restructuring of the economy and prepare for future economic growth. Now, Vietnam has been trying to mitigate the negative effects of recent disturbances for foreign invested firms in order to maintain a stable investment environment here in the country. However, despite these recent events, the majority of foreign economic experts and investment organizations have retained their faith in Vietnam's investment environment.
In an interview with Reuters on Wednesday, when asked whether the recent unrest would affect Vietnam's economy, Jim Walker, the chief economic expert of the Asianomics Group, affirmed that the disturbance would not impede the economy's development.
I think the Vietnam story is going to be a short-lived, as I say, dispute with China. It's almost exactly the same as India in terms of the business cycle, the way that that's worked over the last couple of years. They've had a significant slowdown in economic growth, begun to address policy making, and it looks as if they're on the cusp of an upswing.
Henley, an investment consulting firm based in the UK, said that the recent disturbances will not prevent foreigners from investing in this potential market.
Well, obviously that wasn't very good, this recent development, but we would hope that things come down again soon and that it will just be a dent and not, major effect in terms of the long-term potential of Vietnam. So, and if it does come down, we think actually, again, medium to long-term Vietnam does actually have quite good potential.
David Kotok, chairman of Cubalent Advisors, who has come to Vietnam and witnessed many changes in the economy over the past years, is impressed by the factors that continue to attract foreign investors to Vietnam.
It showed me a young population interested in doing better for themselves and their country. So I'm a fan.
Catherine Mann, a professor of economics and finance, also has faith in the Vietnam's government measures to halt the unrest and its efforts to support foreign investors. Vietnam has a higher consumption capacity than some of its neighbours. Its economy has great potential. I can see that Vietnam wants to open its economy and attract investors. There is a Vietnamese saying, where there is good land, the bird will perch. For Catherine Mann, Vietnam is a good land for investors.
On Friday, the Formosa Group launched its proposal to build the Thanh An FSH General Hospital. This comes just a few days after its Sơn Dương steel complex in the central province of Hà Tĩnh resumed normal operations following recent protests. With a total investment capital of over $7 million, the hospital will be built on an area of 11,000 square meters and will have an initial capacity of 100 beds. In the second phase of the project construction, an additional 200 beds will be added. The hospital will be equipped with modern equipment and technology, as well as domestic and international doctors in order to meet the healthcare needs of those residing in and around the Vũng Áng economic zone. The first phase of the hospital is expected to be operational by the end of 2015. The Vietnam Social Insurance disbursed 650 billion Vietnam dong, or roughly $30 million, that is, on Wednesday to support unemployed laborers who were affected by the recent protests in the southern province of Bình Dương. Now, workers were able to receive social insurance payments from their companies starting today, on Friday, that is. Laborers eligible for unemployment insurance can register their claims from the 26th of May to the 31st. For companies whose owners have left Vietnam, employees who have not received illness or maternity insurance can come to Bình Dương Social Insurance Office to register a claim. The 2013 to 2014 winter-spring crop was one of the most successful harvests for farmers, but also raised concerns about the consumption due to the falling price of rice. Businesses in the region have been working with farmers in order to find an output market for their agricultural products, and this model has proven to be effective.
The cooperation project between Quế Lâm Organic Agriculture Company and the Phú Lương One Cooperative covers 7.7 hectares of rice fields that are cared by 17 households. The farmers no longer have to worry about hiring helps to harvest their crops or finding an output market since they signed a deal with the company. This season, each hectare has produced 6.7 tons, which sells for $350 per ton.
Farmers used to struggle to find an output market because the businesses used to drive them to reduce price. Now that we're working with this company, we don't have to worry about output anymore, and they even help us with technology and caring for the crops. We will expand this model in the future.
This is the pilot season for the DT39 rice churn, and the company has been helping the farmers to buy seeds, utilize new technology, and follow a new procedure that meets environmental standards. The company buys the crops at a fixed price following the harvest.
We're promoting and educating farmers about food safety in agriculture production. The method uses organic pesticide that will reduce the amount of the residues in the final products. The cooperation between businesses and farmers is a stable model which helps find an output for our crops, boosts the economy, and provides greener and safer products for farmers, consumers, and the environment.
With the initial success of this model, the cooperation between farmers and local businesses is expected to stabilize and improve the agriculture sector.
The Ministry of Finance recently issued its circular number 65 of 2014 on supporting businesses in stockpiling rice for the 2013 to 2014 winter-spring crop. Accordingly, the state budget will cover 100% of loan interest for eligible firms in appointed commercial banks if the interest rates are below 7% per year. The amount of rice under this special support is in line with the actual amount that each firm stockpiles, but they cannot purchase above the assigned amount to make sure that the total amount of rice stockpiled is under 1 million tons. The period that is for purchasing rice was scheduled from the 15th of March to the 30th of April this year, and the circular took effect from the 19th of May. Vietjet Air has opened a new route between Ho Chi Minh City and Singapore with a frequency of 7 flights per week and a potential to cater to up to over 2,500 passengers. This new route will help meet the needs of those traveling between Vietnam and Singapore. In particular, this route will accommodate the business sector, which has recently flourished between the two countries. Currently, Vietjet Air covers 24 domestic and international routes. As part of its development strategy, Vietjet Air will continue, it says, to expand its air routes throughout the entire Asia-Pacific region. Coming up here on our live edition of VTV News, an international press conference discussed the developments in the EC. And later on our weekly edition of Culture Watch, we'll see how 1,000 voices are singing to affirm the nation's sovereignty. Do stay tuned.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
You're back here on our live edition of VTV News. The 11th Glorious Vietnam Awards, hosted by the Vietnam General Confederation of Labor, the Central Council for Emulation and Reward, as well as the Labor newspaper and Vietnam television, took place on Friday morning in Hanoi. The event honored 19 individuals and 11 organizations for making outstanding contributions to patriotism. Despite their different social backgrounds, the honorees have all made efforts in in order to develop the country's socio-economic development, while maintaining also security and social order, and improving people's living standards. At the event, State President Chen Ben-sang urged the community to improve their performances at work, to study and follow President Ho Chi Minh's moral examples, and to serve as examples for young people to follow. A national seminar on agricultural and environmental development in relation to climate change in the Mekong River Delta opened on Friday. The seminar focused on two main topics, including agricultural production and appropriate strategies in order to deal with the effects of climate change. Several measures have been issued in order to cope with reduced rainfall levels and soaring temperatures, including building a water reservoir in order to maintain current levels of agricultural production. In general, the measures proposed during the seminar can be applied in most provinces and cities throughout the Mekong River Delta region. More in environmental news. Now, the Wildlife Rescue Center at Pumat National Park in Giàn province has released 4 macaques, which is a species in the Old World monkeys family, back into the park. The animals were seized by forest rangers from illegal animal traffickers and handed over to the rescue center back in February. These 4 macaques were released into their natural environment on the 19th of May after being quarantined. The rescue center at Pumat National Park was opened back in 2006 and since then has rescued thousands of wild animals. Moving now on to other news, Vietnam has sufficient legal and historical evidence affirming its sovereignty over the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa Islands, known also as the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos. This announcement was the main topic during the International Press Conference on Developments in the EC held in Hanoi on Friday.
At the press conference, Deputy Head of the National Boundary Commission Chen Duy-hai confirmed that Vietnam has sufficient legal and historical foundations to affirm its sovereignty over the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa archipelagos. This sovereignty is recognized by international law and faces no objections from other countries.
The Geneva Agreement of 1954 stated that all parties should respect Vietnam's independence and territorial integrity. It also stipulated that Vietnam gained control of the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos following the French withdrawal from Vietnam. Vietnam has also exercised its sovereignty over these 2 archipelagos. As a participant in the Geneva Conference in 1954, China must acknowledge and observe the documents of this conference.
Regarding a letter sent by former Prime Minister Phạm Văn Đồng to China in 1958, which has been used to contest the sovereignty claims over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos, Hai stated that Dong's letter was not historical proof of China's sovereignty over these archipelagos.
Former Prime Minister Phạm Văn Đồng diplomatic letter did not mention any matters related to territory or sovereignty over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos.
Concerning Chinese officials' opinions that Vietnam's oil and gas exploration activities are in disputed waters, Vietnam Oil and Gas Group CEO Đỗ Văn Hậu asserted that Vietnam oil and gas exploration and exploitation activities takes place within Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and has been in operation since late 1960. He added that Chinese officials claim that these are disputed water is a preliminary attempt to legalize their claim over the waters surrounding the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos.
We still cooperate with many international companies like ExxonMobil of the USA, Gazprom of Russia, and etc. Petro-Vietnam and its partners' normal activities still take place in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone in accordance with UNCLOS. China's argument that Vietnam's 57 oil lots are in disputed area is wrong. The deployment of the oil rig Hải Dương Sư Dầu 981 is illegal.
Answering the question of using legal measures to deal with the current situation, Nguyễn Thị Thanh Hà, head of international laws and treaties, said that Vietnam is a member of the United Nations and a signee of the Convention on the Law of the Sea, so Vietnam can cite international law to resolve this dispute. Vietnamese leaders will use peaceful means to protect Vietnam's sovereignty over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos, so the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has prepared all necessary materials to do so. At the press conference, representatives from Ministry of Foreign Affairs and related agencies also answered questions from domestic and foreign reporters about the current situation in the East Sea, as well as border trade activities between Vietnam and China.
An economic, science and service complex known as Platform DK1 has long played an important role in defending the country's sovereignty over its southern islands, seas and continental shelf over the past 25 years. The following report will bring you a closer look at the significance of the platform's contribution to protecting the country's sovereignty and resources.
Dr. Phạm Ngọc Nam has captured photos of his work on the platform for the past 25 years. He said that Vietnamese people are proud if they have a chance to visit the platform. Located in the open seas and battered by fierce waves, the platform stands firmly to protect the country's natural resources.
The platform has a special significance to the country's sovereignty because it helps to manage a large area of the East Sea. In the 21st century, the sea plays a very important role in the country's development.
The platform is situated on coral and mud with depths of up to 25 meters. It has been painstakingly built in compliance with the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The platform functions as a base for Vietnamese fishermen while protecting Vietnam's legal rights and interests in its southern continental shelf. Platform DK1 currently includes 17 units located in the seas of Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province.
The establishment of the platform DK1 shows the long-term strategic vision of the party and state. If we hadn't built the platform in 1989, it would have been very difficult to protect the country's sovereignty over the seas, islands and continental shelf.
Despite many difficulties, the soldiers and residents live and work on the platform's unit, full of enthusiasm. The inhabitants say that they always remember their promise to make their best efforts to build and protect the country.
We're now here on our weekly edition of Culture Watch. More than 1,000 people across Vietnam, including hundreds of artists, have joined hands to make a music video of the national anthem dedicated to the country's seas and islands. The process of making this music video is now in its final stages, and it is set to be released next Monday. In Culture Watch this week, we'll have a sneak peek and also behind-the-scene view of the making of this MV.
So here I am at Minh Quân Studio here in Hanoi with many artists from across the country. And as you can see, we're all wearing the same t-shirt in red and yellow. It's the Vietnamese flag. And today is the second day of recording and filming for the song that had been chosen to show their love for the nation, Vietnam.
The music video of Quốc ca, the Vietnamese national anthem, was initiated by local pop singer Minh Quân. Hundreds of artists from across the country, including singers, actors, athletes, and beauty queens, were eager to join the project for free. The number of participants expanded to more than 1,000 instead of the initial 200, wearing red t-shirts with a yellow star to express their patriotism. The music video was recorded at both ends of the country, in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
I think our most powerful weapon is our singing voices. We've gathered to add our voices to this song, the national anthem, the most powerful song in the whole nation. I have received strong support from all of my workmates and friends. Youth, strength, and patriotism are burning inside all of us. I'm happy to be the one to bring them all together to celebrate our patriotism.
With his previous experiences of recording 300 different artists for a single track, Minh Quân has no trouble directing this project. Hundreds of singers were divided into sections. Local musicians, music producers, and technicians also offer help. A collection of traditional outsides in the color of national flag was designed exclusively for this music video, which also featured beautiful landscapes all over the country.
Tôi nghĩ là trong thời điểm này và trong những ngày này thì bất cứ người Việt Nam nào, dù ở vị trí nào, công việc nào.
At the moment, I think Vietnamese people from all walks of life want to express their love for the country. I think this is such a meaningful thing to do at the moment. That's the reason why I'm here today. I've chosen this way to show my love for my country.
Tình cảm của mình và tình yêu của mình đối với đất nước.
I think this is a moment for uniting Vietnamese people across the country. I think everyone will welcome our message through this song. The message is that we are Vietnamese, we love our country and all stand together.
Con người Việt Nam chúng ta yêu nước và hãy sẵn sàng đoàn kết đứng bên nhau.
Named Tiến Quân Ca or the Matching Song, the national anthem was written by late musician Văn Cao in 1944. With the new arrangement of the national anthem, local artists have shown their love for the country with their best behavior. Hai Lương, Vietnam Television.
In the next part of this week's edition of Culture Watch, we'll take a look at the upcoming cultural events.
The 2014 Vietnamese Cuisine Festival will take place in the coastal town of Nha Trang from July 1st to the 6th. A wide range of activities will take place during the week-long festival, including a cooking contest, specialties of Vietnam's 3 main regions, and a market with typical Vietnamese food from the past and present. Singer Tùng Dương, who is dubbed the Devo of Vietnam, will present his love for the country and its island and sea during a live show next month. Titled Tùng Dương Sing Love Songs, the show will be held in his home city of Hanoi on June 8th. In July, Dương will travel for the first time to Trường Sa to perform for soldiers and residents here. A national ca trù or ceremonial singing festival will be organized in Hanoi in August with the aim of preserving the UNESCO-recognized intangible cultural heritage. Ca trù, also known as Hát Ả Đào, was recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding in 2009.
Let's now have a look at your updated weather forecasts. And that wraps up this edition of VTV News. Do log on to vtv4.vn for more updated news, and we'll be back here again at 3 p.m. local time for another bulletin. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you more in a bit.